Okay. Om Ganana Tva Ganapatikam Vamahe Kavim Kavina Vashavastavam Jeshtarajam Brahmanaspada Anashrinvan Nodivasi Sadhanam Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Virvajini Dina Mavitrevatu Mahasaraswati Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Sarvalokanam Bhishije Bhavaroginam Vidiye Sarva Vidhyanam Shri Dakshina Murtaje Namaha Gurcharnarvinda Bhyam देवीं वाचमजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्दिरेषु मूर्जन्त्वहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतिष्ठितैतु व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतादं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मश्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. All right, so we will get started. So far we have talked about several things in piecemeal, right? Now we talked about detailed definition of sound. We talked about lower vidya, apara vidya, and para vidya, higher level knowledge, right? And we also briefly touched upon the three gunas and the five different layers of every individual human being, right? That is where we stopped last time. Do you remember what are the five layers? Both of you can unmute and remain unmuted. It's okay. Nobody else is there. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and one more I left in between. Manomaya. Vijnanamaya. And then last one is Anandamaya. So that is from the lower to the highest. Right? Yeah. So if you see that these layers are defined at increasingly finer levels. So at the highest level is the self. It is significant that Anandamaya Kosha is placed higher than the intellect. Vijnanamaya is intellect layer. So this is a recognition of the fact that eventually meaning is communicated by associations which are extra logical. It can't be described by logic. Okay. So the energy that underlies the physical and mental process, which is the Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, that energy is prana. So at the lowest level is the physical body. At the next higher level is the energy system at work. And at the next higher level are the thoughts. And these three levels are interrelated. The energy situation can be changed by inputs either at the physical level or at the mental level or at the energy level. And we also discussed when the energy state is in agitated form and restless, it is characterized by Rajoguna. Rajas. It is dull and lethargic, it is Tamoguna, Tamas. But the state of equilibrium and balance is termed as Sattva Guna. So, prana or the energy is described as the currency or the medium of exchange between the psychophysiological system. Physiological means the physical plane, psychological is the parallel plane. The medium of exchange is prana, the energy. And the higher three levels are often lumped together called the mind. And the assumption here is the higher level layer represents characteristics that are emergent on the previous level. So in this theory, mind is an emerging entity. But for the emergence to happen, what you need is the presence of self. So that is where, if you remember in the last class, I said mind can be constituted of basic five components. If you remember, do you remember what they are?
Manas plus Ahankara plus Chitta plus Atman plus Buddhi.
Correct. Very correct. So manas is the lower mind which collects sense impressions, and the perception of those impressions shifts from moment to moment. So karmendriya, the sensory motor mind, obtains its inputs from the senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell. Correct? Did I miss anything? So once again, senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell. Yeah. We started with the hearing first.
Oh yeah.
So each of these senses may be taken to be governed by a separate agent. So the translation of the smell, translation of the taste, going to the brain is managed by a separate agent. Now, what happens is, imagine these are like five different cameras positioned or video cameras, and each one is giving its own impression of the certain context. Right? When you're having your food, you pick it up. If it is hot, you get the feeling of touch. You see the food, whether it is vegetarian food, non-vegetarian, or whatever, sambar or this thing. So I, right? You request help to somebody to serve more. You use the hearing. As soon as you put it in your mouth, taste, and sometimes you will see if the food is stale, you can smell it and understand it is stale, right? So for the same item or a situation or a context, you are picking up impressions from five different senses. So what it does is all of these senses, they form impressions. Impressions means, if you take a film roll, you have those, each film will carry an impression, and you run the film at a particular speed, you will see that whole thing is in motion. That's how motion picture was invented. I hope you know that. So far the impressions are stored, but it is that ahankara, the sense of I-ness, that associates these perceptions to a subjective center and creates personal experiences. For example, when you put the food in your mouth, you feel that there is no salt. Somebody else feels there is excessive salt. Same item, same concept, same thing. Perceptions can be different. Some people can feel it is very stale and stingy, very smelly. Others may not even have that. So, though you are seeing and perceiving and sensing the same thing, the perceptions of what it is can differ from individual to individual. That depends on the I-ness of the individual. Now, once the sensory impressions have been related to the I-ness by the ahankara, there is an evaluation and resulting decisions are arrived by the buddhi, the intellect. So these impressions don't just go into a database and stored like a dead impression. They actually get evaluated by the intellect, and that intellect then processes these data, evaluates it, and there are some resulting decisions. A decision could be that I don't like this particular bhaji, or I can't eat this. This is nauseating. This particular smell in this room is nauseating. There could be several decisions that is being made, but the processing component is the intellect, buddhi. So, manas, ahankara, and buddhi are collectively called the internal instruments or antakarana
So
of
question
the
here.
mind. Hmm?
Question here. So the type of food also affects this, right?
Affects the?
Of the diet we are eating, whether it is a sattvic diet or it is a diet with lot of karam and salt
Yes.
in it. So that also affects these factors, right?
Yes. But here I'm just trying to keep it simple. What I want to make you understand is the elements involved. It's very easy for us to say, my mind says, I don't have a mind in this. Hindi you say, man nahi lag raha hai. And manas seriyilla. What is that manas? What is it? And if you see notice the language that we use, manasila padinjuduthu. In Tamil we say, right? So it is impressions. It's already defining it that it is an impression. Whatever the things that you experience through these five senses, all I want you to understand is the layers and how they interact with each other, how they are connected with each other. So when somebody says, no, no, Kumar, don't give me so many classes of lecture, it's too philosophical, it's going above my head. Give me one thing that I should do by which I can control my mind. There is no one answer. You have so many elements that are involved in the whole process, which ultimately becomes your mind, and how your intellect processes those impressions will result into decisions, will result into emotional states, and that is where you become an agitated state or a calm state, dull state, etc., etc. All of this, the resultant effect of that is what you're trying to understand and control. And in one way, that is where it is said that you can influence your mind in one of each of these ways, gateways, or a combination of all. Naaka adaki pare. Like you start controlling your tongue means what? If it is hot, if it is cold, doesn't matter. You perceive it as the same level. No, I think it's okay, cool. I can eat it. There are people like I'm trained from childhood. If there is no sugar in coffee, I'm not supposed to complain. If there's no salt in food, I'm not supposed to even frown. That is how I've been brought up from childhood. So that is how you control your mind. The ultimate way in which it processes the data and evaluates it and results in decisions is what you can control. So we say five indriyas you control, you're controlling your mind. Make sense? So now we are going into a very granular level of detail. If there are five layers in your system, each of those layers, you will see it is there for a reason. It performs a certain function in the overall process. Make sense? So the five ingredients of the mind has different role to play. So once this thing is done, the next item in the component of mind is chitta. Chitta is called the memory bank of the mind. Now, these memories constitute the foundation of which the rest of the mind operates. But it is also not a very passive depository. So it's not like a database. You store all the memories and just leave it at that. It remains passive. The organizations of the new impressions or the imprints throws up any kind of instinctual or primitive urges that create diverse emotional states. The storage of these impressions drive instantaneous, instinctive, or primitive urges, desires that create diverse emotional states. So you touch a kind of food using your tongue. You like the taste. It immediately desires. I want more. Can you please serve some more? Right. So it's not like a very static activity that you put something in your mouth. You see the taste of it, and you ignore it. It results in an evaluation and as a decision or as an emotional state where you can say that I'm asking for more or I say no more. So, when we talk of the mental complex, it surrounds the innermost aspect of consciousness, which is called Atman. That Atman is the same as the self or the Brahman. And Atman is considered to be beyond a finite enumeration of categories. That particular layer is beyond the finite or logical layer of categories. Now, if you take the table that I had shared in the WhatsApp, if you've got that, do you have access to that?
I have it on the screen.
Open it and see it. Otherwise, you'll not be able to follow what I'm saying. So, if you see the lowest line, so the horizontal lines are the categories.
Hmm.
Okay. So, they are divided into 25 categories or tattvas. 5 by 5. So, at the lowest level, and this is called the Sankhya school of philosophy in Shaivism. So, the lowest level is the material elements, which are the Panchabhuta:
Okay.
Akasha, Vayu, Vahni, Jala, Prithvi. Puna, are you following?
Yeah, I'm seeing the table, but I don't see the exact sequence you told.
The table, if you see the bottommost last line,
Yes, Akasha, Vayu, Vahni, Jala. Yeah.
they are the materialistic level, Panchabhutas,
Panchabhuta. Yeah.
material elements.
Yes.
So you know that. Now Pancha Tanmatra is the next, which is corresponding to those Panchabhutas. These are the subtle elements that forms the smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Sound is Shabda, touch is Sparsha, form or figure is the Rupa, Rasa is the taste, Gandha is smell. Okay. Now, the five organs of action, karmendriya, those are reproduction, which is the upastha. The function is for the sex, the organ is the penis and vagina. Payu, which is the excretory function, happens through the anus. Pada, or locomotion, movement through the feet. Pani, which is the grasping, which is done by the hand. And vak, or the speech, which is done using the mouth. These are the karmendriyas. Karma means action, so these are action organs that are used for actions. The corresponding jnanendriya for cognition, right? They are related to shrotra, which is ear for the sound. Twak, which is skin for the touch sense. Chakshu means eye, which is for the right sight or rupa. Jihva, or tongue, for the taste. Grana is nose for the smell. You must be very familiar that these are all coming in into the Prana Pratishtha mantra. Correct? Now, karmendriya organs are used for vachana, which is speech, adana, hold, gamana, walk, visarga or utsarga, defecation, and ananda, which is bliss or sexual pleasure. Now, these categories define the structure of the physical world and the conscious agents and their minds. Now, you also understood these categories of consciousness that we spoke earlier, previous class. Correcta? ஞாபகம் இருக்கா? What are the states of consciousness?
You have a dream state.
Start with Jagrat, awake.
Jagrat, Sushupti.
Jagrat, Swapna. After Jagrat, when you close your eyes, you go to the dream state, Swapna.
Yeah, and then Sushupti.
Sushupti, and then Turiya.
Turiya. Turiya is beyond all this. Right?
Correct. Got it? So you learned about sound, you learned about Akshara, you also connected it to a detailed definition of sound relating to the centers, how Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari is involved. Now you are learning the various aspects or elements of mind, various tattvas that are involved, and collectively all of this complex system together results in your emotional state or the mind. So it influences your personality, it influences your decision making, it influences your actions, everything. So far so good. அவர் உட்காந்துருக்கிற பக்கத்தில் ராம் ரொம்ப பேசவே மாட்டேங்கிறதே. என்ன பயப்படாதுங்க. One disturbance illa. It's all very interactive.
I don't know how is it because of the smoke or we don't know the forest fire smoke. Both of us have the cough suddenly.
No, it is very bad in New Jersey. Right now it is 333.
Oh my
200 is hazardous. They're saying it's going to go tomorrow midnight வரைக்கும் போறதுன்னு சொல்றா.
Yeah, இங்கே smell வருது smoke smell.
Yeah, smell plus here if you touch your lips, it's all very bad tasting stuff.
they're joking worse than New Delhi.
2.5 micro level particles. Standard particle size is 275 or 280. We are at 2.5. So anyway, so now if you go to the other diagram, which is the figure about the chakras, it will help you understand and correlate very easily. Right? So let us pick up the first diagram where the lady is shown. And we have read this, I've taught this in the Sri Vidya class over and over again. The most lowest one is the Muladhara, that is the root chakra, which defines the basic trust. The Swadhisthana, the sacral chakra, is the energy center or sexuality and creativity. The Manipura chakra, near your Nabhi, is a solar plexus chakra, is the center for wisdom and power. Anahata, the heart chakra, is for love and healing. Throat chakra or the Vishuddha chakra is for communication. Agnya chakra, which is between the two eyebrows, it's also called the third eye, which is for awareness. Sahasrara or the crown chakra is for spirituality. And if you notice a little, pay closer attention, it also contains each of the bija aksharas for each of those centers. Muladhara is Lam.
It's the Prithvi element.
Yes. After Lam, what is the next one? Vam. Vam. And I have already told you many times, the stomach area, the Jatara, is the Agni, Ram. Lungs, the Vayu space, Yam. Yam Vaivatmane. Correct? So now everything is falling in place, nicely connecting. The throat is Om. But if you follow closely, the Om in the throat area and the Om in the Agnya chakra, there is a slight difference. Can anybody tell me what the difference is?
Can you repeat your question?
You see Om as the Bijakshara for throat and Agnya. Vishuddhi and Agnya, it is showing as Om.
There's the Chandra Bindu on the top one.
And
And it is Dirga. Dirga.
correct. Correct. And I had explained that also with the consciousness state. So that the extension is the Turiya state. Not everybody can see it. AUM, Om, when we talked about the expansion of Om, That extension is a Turiya state. Not everybody can see it. Only Mahapurushas can do it. Make sense?
So the color coding also has significance.
Yes. This is in general the color coding used for these chakras. So go to the other diagram where the man is shown, the same centers. In Lam, it is I am. In Vam, I feel. In Ram, I do. In Yam, I love. In Hum, I speak. In the Agnya, I see. And in the Sahasrara, I understand.
So Hum is Akash Atman and Yam is Vayavatman. Okay.
Correct.
Ram Videtse Chatara.
Everything is now falling in place, no? All those piecemeal knowledge that you kept getting. So, if somebody says, I understand. So, do you mean to say that your Sahasrara chakra is very activated, energetic? Yeah, but these are the centers. That means for you to be able to understand and really talk about that level of spiritual enlightenment or awakening, you have to have that energy center activated. So the process of activating is through the Kundalini energy, which is basically resting in Mooladhara. So start connecting all the dots now. If you want to gain control of your mind, you need to use all the tools that have been taught to you: yoga, posture, chanting of mantra japas, parayana, tarpana, havana.
Bhuta Shuddhi.
Yes. Then do the Shat Parayana, Nama Parayana. All of those things are small tools aimed at energizing your system one by one. And as you go through the process of all this, where you are able to meditate, where you are able to maintain a very fit physical and mental health, you also don't eat the type of food which is not sattvic. You'll be able to balance your gunas and you'll get the stability and focus in controlling your mind. Only when your mind is under control, you'll be able to start detaching everything one by one. And only when you do the detachment and the sacrifice and the tapas, that as the energy rises through your kundalini, through the sushumna, it will pass through thousand lights as it comes to the Vishuddhi, thousands lights of sun, thousand suns. And at that time, you will see everything around you is Maya. They will all melt away, and you will see something beyond what mortals can see. That is when you are considered to be ready for liberation. And when the energy reaches Sahasrara, is when the true liberation happens.
It's so sad. I mean, we know that, okay, there is something beyond, but something keeps pulling you, that Maya keeps pulling you in a different direction.
But it is that is where, unless you energize the body, right? Unless you energize the body and the body and mind connection happens, none of these things will make sense to you. It will be scary, it will be tentative, and you'll say, what if I control my mind and tomorrow there is a IPL match and I'm not able to enjoy when others are enjoying it? Finish, you are caught into the same loop.
Yeah. So we are stuck with Maya so strong that
Correct.
all that Sat has to be so strong to get there.
Correct. And for that, one of the key thing that you need to understand is everything that you are experiencing in this domain is perishable. is created by us, and so it is temporary. It has got a shelf life. The moment you start understanding that, that is the first step required for you to say, even I'm willing to detach. So tomorrow, if you see that this particular material that you have earned with hard-earned money is there, it's over. You must be able to say, okay, it's okay if I don't have it. You buy furniture, you buy apparatus and devices and cars and jewelries. The moment you start having detachment towards each one of those things, you will start experiencing the higher level of awakening. Right?
So once you reach, there is a possibility of slipping down.
Yes, you will be in a position to control the energy to come go through your sushumna. You can lower it all the way to Manipura, Swadhisthana, back all the way up. That is what they are called Mahapurushas. So at that level, when you get the up to the Vishuddha level itself, when you come, it is told that you will go beyond that physical appearance and genitals or gender differentiations. You'll not see any of those things. You can't see any of those things. So you don't feel the need for clothing, you don't feel the need for bathing or doing the Nityanushtana. None of those things are required. You're at a very elevated level of understanding and consciousness. So Ramana Maharishi is one of those Mahapurushas. And he respected Mahapariva. Obviously, Mahapariva also respected him. But these are all
Yeah, they are
different level. So I laugh when somebody says Baba Ramdev is also doing saffron veshti and doing all this India TV jumping. He cannot be compared to Mahapariva just because he's wearing the same type of cloth. Right? Huge difference. So either you have any questions, whatever you heard.
so maybe we'll need some time to
Absorb.
absorb.
Yeah. So there is a saying that the human being is seen as a building with 10 doors. What are the 10 doors?
The nine dwaras plus one
Navadvara and
one kapalam.
no. 10 doors are basically what I described just now.
Yeah.
5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas. So,
What are 10 doors? Okay.
yeah, those are the 10 doors. Eliminating, reproducing, moving, grasping, speaking. Those are the karmendriyas. Right?
Yes.
And 5 cognitive senses, which are the jnanendriyas. They become the 10 doors. The karmendriyas are the exit doors. The exit doors means the means of expression which are called karmendriya. Jnanendriyas are the entrance doors. So you perceive the external world to your internal system. So far, so good. So when these 10 doors process the data, the net impressions that are gathered through this interaction is processed by manas, ahankara, chitta, buddhi. That is the processing factor. So the manas is giving instruction to the 10 senses. So is it giving instruction based on the buddhi or the intellect? Or is it giving instructions based on the chitta, which is the unconscious habit? So far, so good.
Yes.
So one last part is you have to understand is Purusha is the witness consciousness. It's the absolute, independent, free, beyond perception, above any experience by mind or senses, and it is impossible to describe in words. That Purusha is there in our body, in our system. The unmanifest Prakriti is a matter of nature. It is also inactive, unconscious, and it is a balance of the three gunas. So when Prakriti comes in contact with Purusha, this balance is disturbed. Then Prakriti becomes from unmanifest, it becomes manifest, evolving the 25 tattvas. And Jiva is the state in which Purusha is bonded to Prakriti. When this bondage is liberated, is when we called as moksha. So I just want to leave you with all these terminologies and the dotted lines that are connecting them. If possible, I'll try to create a document as I said, but it is taking time. In the meantime, if you go through the YouTube and take notes, you will be able to start processing things in a much more micro level than floating at the higher level.
So is this Purusha Atma Atman? So that when it comes in contact with Prakriti, which is
Yeah,
Earth, that becomes Jiva.
Jiva is the state
Jiva
in which this is both Purusha and Prakriti are bonded. Now tell me, if you don't even understand that there is a Kundalini, if you don't even understand there are energy centers in your body, and by the way, all those energy centers, Shat Chakra, they are mapped to individual centers in the brain. So that is why when you energize each of those centers, you have a corresponding impact and reception in the brain. So I always tell people, when you do nyasam in what we have been taught in BPA is for purification of our body, in preparation for any uh, chanting or shloka that we do. But on the contrary, you can use that system to even activate your body, various energy centers. So you do nyasa with the sparsha of, like, you have this and keep it in those points and do this chanting of nothing. If you don't have diksha, you can do just om. If you have diksha, you can do the chanting with those corresponding bijaksharas. It's a nice way of energizing your body, activating your mind. But even if you study and understand these diagrams and these various elements, and if you start seeing things life in that structured fashion, it will make a big difference. So instead of cluelessly saying, I don't know what to do, I'm doing pranayama, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing jogging, I'm doing 10,000 steps, will I get liberation? There are people who have asked that. If I do just yoga, will I get liberation? There are people who have asked, if I just attend to Bhagavad Gita lectures, will I get liberation? So now you have the answers instead of getting lost into wilderness, right? Make sense? So is this helping? Fine. So with that, I'll take leave. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the next class. But don't forget to attend tomorrow's meeting. All of you are required. We'll make some good decisions as far as the Shatachandi is concerned.
We will attend, but we may not be able to attend the Chandi.
என்னாச்சு?
கலிஃபோர்னியா போகணும், புக் பண்ணிட்டோம் டிக்கெட்லாம். அந்த வாரம் தான் போக முடியாது.
Okay, fair enough. Bad luck. All right, பார்க்கலாம். See you.